Hi, I'm Chloe. Thank you for visiting our video. Find out why our team can provide you the best services for your needs. Hundreds of clients can't be wrong. Check out the following video.
Real estate with realtor Kashif Sohail. Welcome to Washington America Show with international multimedia journalist, multidimensional, multifaceted artist and director of Human Rights Justice Council USA, Dr. Kashif Sohail.
The economic trends are indicators that show how a region or country is doing financially. There are many other economic trends including interest rates and inflation, but the primary takeaway is that economic trends provide a metric for the region or country and are interrelated. The state of the economy is always of great political and individual concern. While it may be impossible to predict any future event with useful certainty, there are a number of considerations for understanding economic trends.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average is the second oldest and best-known stock market index. Owned by Dow Jones & Company, it measures the daily price movements of 30 large American companies on the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange. In the 1990s, the Dow Jones Stock Index exceeded the 10,000 barrier for the first time, unemployment was at a 30-year low, and inflation was low to non-existent. The boom was strong enough to outpace other industrial economies, and even played a major role in temporarily eliminating the 3-decade-old federal deficit.
America had emerged as the most competitive performer in the global economy. It was a remarkable turnaround. Starting in the early 1970s, nothing defined the American mood as much as sluggish economic growth and a sense that other industrial nations were passing America by.
During the 1980s, economic debate was driven by the fear that American firms were losing the competitive edge in a cutthroat, global economy. Japan and Germany in particular seemed to have a better formula for success. After aggressive downsizing and restructuring, American firms were once again the envy of the industrial world.
Yet even before the expansion ended, some analysts were pointing to disturbing trends in the U.S. economy. While poverty rates fell, the gap between the rich and poor widened, as inflation-adjusted salaries stagnated for most Americans. Jobs were slashed as companies aggressively sought to increase profit margins.
The manufacturing industry lost more than 1 million good-paying jobs, which were gradually replaced with lower-paying service industry jobs. What's more, even as consumer spending drove the boom, the personal savings rate declined sharply, even falling into negative territory in January 2001 for the first time since the Great Depression. Meanwhile, consumer debt skyrocketed with bankruptcies at record levels. Congress responded by enacting bankruptcy reform that made it harder to walk away from debt.
There have been two basic federal policies for stimulating the economy: tax cuts and low interest rates implemented by the Federal Reserve. Cutting taxes, many economists argue, can stimulate the economy by putting more money into the hands of consumers and businesses.
The second approach relies on the Federal Reserve System, the nation's central bank. By raising or lowering interest rates, the Fed can make it easier or harder to borrow money, whether for consumers buying a house or a car or a major corporation expanding a factory.
Through the mid-2000s, the Federal Reserve kept interest rates at 50-year lows to encourage borrowing. Most economists agree that this spurred the housing and banking industries, as more people bought homes and took out mortgages. But, as recent unemployment data show, this has had less impact on other industries.
Neither strategy allows any precise control over the economy, nor do both require time to have an impact. Some economists compare these methods to adjusting the temperature while taking a shower. It's easy to have the water end up too hot or too cold. If the government pumps too much cash into the economy, then prices shoot up, causing inflation.
If the government tightens up too much, then there isn't enough cash to go around, and the economy sinks into recession. And of course, these methods are indirect. The government can encourage the public to do certain things, discourage others, or to simply try to stay out of the way. But it is the decisions of thousands of employers and millions of consumers that truly determine how the economy performs.
In the fall of 2003, most private economic forecasters were predicting that the economy would grow 2.9% in 2003. In the third quarter, gross domestic product, the total amount of goods and services produced, jumped up a dramatic 7.2%, the biggest gain in 2 decades. So if the economy grew, why did unemployment go up? Shouldn't growth produce more jobs? Usually, it would.
Economists say that because of new technology, productivity has continued to rise over the past years, as it has for the past decade. In other words, thanks to computers, cell phones, scanning devices, and other technological improvements, the average American worker can produce more in less time. This has been a major factor in keeping U.S. products competitive internationally. But it also means that businesses can make the same number of products with fewer workers.
Both the Federal Reserve and the National Bureau of Economic Research say productivity is the main reason the economy can expand and lose jobs at the same time. Unemployment had certainly been worse in the past. In the 1991-92 recession, joblessness peaked at 7.8%. In the 1981-82 recession, it reached 10.8%. However, people seemed to be unemployed for longer periods of time, and there were more discouraged workers, who essentially gave up looking for work.
According to the Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average time out of work increased from 18 to 19 weeks between October 2002 and October 2003. Some 23% of the unemployed in October 2003 had been out of work 27 weeks or more.
Most economists argue that if the economy grows enough, more jobs will be created. But it may take time. We saw similar unemployment trends during the Great Recession. Public optimism about the economy was shaken during the Great Recession. In recent years, this has led to interesting survey results. For example, 67% of young people say they don't earn enough money to live the way they want, but 53% say they are confident that they eventually will.
In the long run, most young Americans are confident about their economic future. However, according to a 2014 poll, less than 1/3 of Americans said that young people today will have a better life than their parents. Lower-income people are more likely to be dissatisfied with the economy, and almost 7 in 10 say the rich get richer and the poor get poorer.
It is important to note that some level of public doubt and dissatisfaction with the economy is normal even during prosperous times. In the late 1990s, when most Americans were optimistic about both their personal outlook and the overall economy, people still were critical in some specific areas.
There are always questions about how the economy will perform in the future. Some current unknowns include how globalization will affect U.S. jobs, what impact the federal budget deficit will have on the broader economy, and whether the U.S. will remain productive and competitive.
The best way to achieve a higher standard of living is for government to minimize control over the market-based system. As a result, higher growth will generate jobs and opportunity. Excessive inequality is socially corrosive and morally wrong. Government must take measures to ensure that the benefits of growth are shared more evenly. The fact that income stagnated, for many Americans, is a result of our failure to give everyone an equal opportunity for economic advancement.
So, since you've learned more about us, click the link in the description to see how you can contact us.
Please share this video, subscribe to our channel.
Are you looking to buy or sell a home anytime soon? If so, you've come to the right place. We'd like to give you the opportunity to work with one of the top local real estate agents and get the best deal when buying or selling a home. The fact is, experienced agents can often get you a 2 to 10% better deal on the purchase or sale of a property, mostly due to their experience in the local marketplace and their ability to negotiate the best deal. So contact our top agent now and start the process of buying or selling your home.